Today, for the SourceFed Movie Club, we're reviewing the film Paranorman. And if it hadn't been for Movie Club, I probably would have given this film a pass. Not that I have anything against family or kids movies, but this one just didn't strike my interest. And that would have been a shame because it was actually fairly entertaining. Paranorman is the story of a young boy named Norman who can, one, see and talk to dead people, and two, has to use that power in order to save his town from a centuries-old curse. Now, the story started off with some very cliche groundwork. You had this young kid with special abilities, but he was a social outcast and nobody really understood him, yet he was going to be the one to go in and kind of save the day. And they didn't really stray too far from that mold. I didn't get invested in this movie till about the 20-minute mark, and when your movie's only 90 minutes long, that's an issue. Because if a quarter of the movie's gone by and the audience doesn't care about what's happening, you've got problems. And that seemed to be the biggest problem with this film, was just the pacing. It kind of meandered along. It never really sucked you in except for a couple of key moments. And they just didn't know how to tie all the plot elements together. So you might have to be a little dedicated about watching this film. The jokes were funny, nothing really memorable, but still entertaining nonetheless. Now, there were a couple things I really liked about this film. One, the visual style, and two, the actual story. Now, the visual style was very entertaining to look at. Very beautifully well done, a lot of great imagery, and you can tell that they really put some thought into that. And it was very reminiscent of a Tim Burton style film without being a complete knockoff. So at first blush, this story kind of looks like it's just kind of a mashup between like Beetlejuice and The Sixth Sense, with Hocus Pocus and the Monster Squad kind of jammed in there. But they did something really interesting, which I liked, which is they defy you to define anybody as the bad guy. I mean, first off, you think it's the witch who's cursing the town, but then you find out it's just the spirit of this little girl who was murdered for witchcraft 100 years ago. So you can't really feel mad or, hateful towards her. So the next step is the villagers are the bad guys who, executed this little girl for witchcraft just because they didn't understand her. But then you find out that these guys were just scared, of something they didn't understand, which is something that happens to everybody. And yeah, they really overreacted, but they were very remorseful about the fact. And you could see that, they knew it was a mistake and they genuinely felt bad about it. And they kind of had to suffer, an undead torment because of it. So, they paid the price for it. So they're not really the bad guys either. So if the witch isn't the bad guy and the townsfolk aren't the bad guys, then we're kind of left with a movie that doesn't look like it's got a clear antagonist, which is generally kind of a problem. Unless it's a movie about man versus self. In this case it is. It's everybody struggling against the fear of what they don't understand. And that's kind of the message the movie's trying to get across, which is really interesting because William Faulkner said the most interesting story to tell is man's struggle against his own nature. And when I started watching this film, I wouldn't have thought I'd come around to comparing it to William Faulkner, yet here we are. So overall, I would recommend this for the viewing, particularly if you're a Nightmare Before Christmas fan or a Corpse Bride fan, or really any of Tim Burton's work. But otherwise, it was entertaining, if not particularly memorable, but still worth the price of admission. And there is my review of Paranorman. Until next time, keep doing what you do.